All right, once more unto the breach. Buckle up, this is a rough one. We're going to meet the Autobots, and then quickly learn why they have yet to beat the Decepticons. So, let's get into it. My name is Paul, and this is Plot Spot. Welcome to Plot Spot, the place where we analyze stories and try to determine what makes them succeed or fail. Last time, we covered Lennox and his team's battle with Scorponok, Maggie and Glen being arrested by the FBI, and Bumblebee deciding not to kill Barricade because God knows why. Then Michaela and Sam got into Bumblebee for a ride to... well, let's find out. As the two drive down the road with Bumblebee, who is taking them to parts unknown, Sam convinces Michaela to sit in his lap since she won't sit in the driver's seat and there are no other seatbelts. Smooth. But Michaela messes it all up by body-shaming Bee.
Why, if he's supposed to be like this super advanced robot, does he transform back into this piece of crap? Come here.
He then acts like the responsible soldier with an important mission that he is, and kicks them out, and proceeds to drive off the other way. On two wheels, no less. Drawing all kinds of attention to himself. Why? Because Drift is right.
He's like a child.
I guess there were not many Autobots to choose from for this world-changing mission. And like a child, Bee gets a new toy and is suddenly all better. So Bee's feelings are so easily hurt that he'll jeopardize two entire species over an offhand comment. That's great. I mean, think about it. Now Bumblebee certainly knows without a shadow of a doubt that there are Decepticons on Earth, if he didn't already. And as far as he knows, there could be one lurking on every corner. You can't leave Sam alone for a minute. Also, why do Sam and Michaela get out when he comes to a stop? At least in the novelization, Bumblebee shakes them out. Here, they just decide, well, I guess I get out here. After Bee scans this random concept car driving down the road, that just happens to be in his same color scheme, he returns and picks up Sam and Michaela. So yay, now Hasbro can sell two Bumblebee toys from this movie. Who am I kidding? They could sell way more than that. Bumblebee takes Sam and Michaela to the Griffith Observatory and crashes through the gate, not taking any damage on his front end of the process. Classic Hollywood trope. Meanwhile, Optimus and the other Autobots descend to Earth in these meteor-like forms that the Hasbro toy line calls protoforms, even though protoforms have typically been something else in Transformers media, essentially the equivalent of an embryo. So, I have no idea if these forms have faster-than-light travel or what. It kind of seems to be the intention that they can traverse
the inanimate vastness of things
in this form, but that doesn't make a ton of sense since they also appear to have no control over their landings. If they can't control that, how can they control where they want to go in space? And speaking of their landings, they all sucked except for Optimus's. Ratchet's takes the cake. He practically takes out a city block in the process. I thought they were supposed to be robots in disguise, but they're just landing on streets and in stadiums and pools like it's nobody's business. And yet none of them are spotted somehow. Even though this truck driver should have seen Optimus, these two should have seen Ironhide lurking behind the trees. How did they also not immediately come out when Ironhide crashed? That should have been quite the commotion. There should be more damage, too. Bumblebee then brings Sam and Michaela to an alley where they meet up with Optimus, Jazz, Ironhide, and Ratchet. And we get this great transformation scene of all the bots, plus this beautiful sound effect. Just beautiful. Optimus introduces himself and the other Autobots to the kids, and Bumblebee is officially named, and it's mentioned that he is Sam's guardian. Let's dive into that a little more, shall we? So, Optimus has designated Bumblebee as Sam's guardian. What does that mean exactly? Judging from the second movie, when Sam says that the guardian thing is done, it would seem that it was just a temporary thing until they get the glasses, in case the Decepticons try to harm him. And I assume he would have to protect him even after that until the Autobots could get the Allspark off planet, since the Decepticons could come after him, thinking he still has the glasses. This makes the most sense and even lines up with Bumblebee later deciding to stay with Sam, implying that he wouldn't have normally, that his job would have been done. But, as I mentioned earlier, Bumblebee seems to take that further than just protecting Sam, as if he's his friend already. How could he have gotten so attached to Sam when the two haven't even talked? It's like B is some kind of creepy stalker or something. Huh. I guess he and Sam got that in common. Optimus explains how they've learned Earth's languages from the internet. Not recommended, but okay. I'm going to make a quick aside to discuss a very controversial topic in this movie. That is Optimus Prime's mouth. For those who don't know, Optimus is well known for his distinctive faceplate, much like the Decepticon Soundwave. Now, this iteration of Optimus is not the first one to have a mouth underneath his battle mask. But it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of people who were kids when the original cartoon was out were not aware of these, making it even more offensive to them. Now, I don't have a problem with the idea of Optimus having a mouth or even the particular design of his face in this movie, but I have to wonder what the reason was for this design. If it is to have Optimus show facial expressions, that seems to go mostly unused in all of the movies. It would also seem unnecessary as a means to make it clear to the audience he is talking, as they could have done the same trick from the G1 cartoon. In fact, they do that in this very movie. My guess is that they think we can't connect to something that doesn't look human, which is dumb because we have tons of examples throughout fiction of great characters who lack a human face. I think they just think we're all stupid. Judging by some of the jumps in logic and harebrained schemes in this film, I'm going to go with that. Anyways, Optimus then tells Sam and Michaela that they're here for the Allspark, and gives the backstory on Megatron, the Decepticons, and the war. This is good, but we could have used a bit more explanation on who the Autobots and Decepticons were exactly. Optimus says that they were betrayed by Megatron, but what does that mean exactly? Was Megatron a military leader, political leader, member of the Autobots? The closest thing we get is the line at the end of the movie, where Optimus calls Megatron brother. I know comics go into this backstory, but third-party material, as we mentioned previously, doesn't count. So why is it important we know more about the Autobot-Decepticon war? If this were just a single movie, maybe it wouldn't. But they always planned on making more, so they should have had some foresight. Yeah, I know. Asking for a lot. But if we don't know the history of the Autobots and Decepticons, we can't fully understand their motivations. As we start to add more layers, it gets harder to figure out how these different characters, events, and motivations all click together. Now, of course, one might say, that's why we need to stay light on details so that we can add layers of shit on top of each other and it won't contradict the elaborate backstories we wrote for tertiary characters.
But here's the deal.
You're always creating backstories and motivations. Anytime a character does something, that's speaking to his or her personality. It might be thin, it might suck, but it's something. And when things are not a little more concrete, things get murky. And that doesn't mean it has to be a Silmarillion's worth amount of world building, but it does need to be solid, or people get lost on what is even happening and how these new plot elements slot in correctly. Here's another problem with this scene. How does Optimus know that Megatron crashed and that Captain Witwicky found him? Did he somehow download that from Sector 7? Not only that, but he knows things even they don't know. Like that Captain Witwicky activated Megatron's navigation system, and the map to the Allspark was imprinted on his glasses, which apparently the Decepticons know too. I suppose they know the code is on the glasses from doing an internet search for anything Cybertronian, finding said spectacles on eBay, but Optimus is certainly aware of much more. This is such a blatant example of a character just reading from the script. And by that, I mean a character knows things that he couldn't possibly know. It's lazy, and it needs to stop. And let's also talk about this flashback scene with Archibald. He falls through the ice and encounters Megatron, and also this random fire. He then is blinded after he somehow makes Megatron imprint the code on his glasses, which is a little odd. Did Megatron do that consciously, or was that an automatic subroutine? But more importantly, why did that even need to happen? Hoover Dam wasn't built yet. I kind of assumed that any transformer on the planet could detect the Allspark, except, of course, that the dam blocks their scanners. But since the presidency of Herbert Hoover is still over 3 decades away, that means they wouldn't need a map. Unless, of course, Megatron can see the future. Or maybe he just read the script too. Also, how the hell did they ever get his glasses? They're way over there. Why would they bother searching for them enough to locate them? The Autobots say they need the glasses, or else the Decepticons will use the Allspark to build an army that will kill all humans, and presumably be a pain in the ass for everyone else too. We'll talk more about the Allspark's power later, but for now, this all seems like pretty good stakes building. Too bad the plot shits the bed in the second half of this act, but we'll get to that. Oh, we'll get to that. For now, let's check in with Lennox and his team somewhere over the Atlantic. As they fly home, the military inspects Scorponok's tail, where they find the metal is self-regenerating. This is essentially this universe's idea of living metal, the material Transformers are made of in other continuities. So they set up that Transformers have some healing abilities. Not much different than us, really. This is good world building, setting up that Transformers don't need to be repaired for every little injury. Minor injuries can be fixed on their own. At least, I assume they can't heal larger injuries. It would have been nice if one of the movies delved a little bit into that, like how grave of injuries can Transformers heal from without outside assistance. It screws with the stakes. We see in Revenge of the Fallen that Scorponok has his tail back, assuming, of course, this is Scorponok. Was he repaired, or did he just grow a new one? The world may never know. Lennox also deduces that 6,000-degree magnesium burns from the military's Sabo rounds can hurt the aliens, and tells Epps to get the Air Force to load all their gunships with them. This is a short scene, but it's good in showing that Transformers have a weakness to human technology that is believable. And it shows good thinking on Lennox's part to get all of their craft equipped for battle, because they know there's at least one more out there. But it doesn't take a genius to figure out there could be more, hiding in plain sight. Then we get a short, humorous scene of Maggie and Glen where the latter makes a fool of himself. It's funny, but nothing of note happens here except we get confirmation that Maggie knows this attack can't be from another country, and she pleads with the government agents to let her talk to Keller. They don't listen. Anyways, let's get to this train wreck of a scene. I'll give a quick description of it, and then we'll tackle particular problems. We see Sam's parents hanging out, watching the news, as Sam, Michaela, and the Autobots arrive at the Witwicky residence. Sam tells Michaela to keep an eye on the Autobots as he runs in to grab the glasses. And as Sam talks to his father, the Autobots act like hardened, disciplined soldiers and immediately move to scope out the area, nearly revealing themselves to Ron in the process. Sam manages to keep Ron distracted, berates the Autobots, then starts searching his room for the glasses, only to have Michaela join him. He can't find the glasses, the Autobots continually distract him, Ratchet accidentally kills the power to the block, Ron and Judy talk to Sam, meet Michaela, and then Judy unceremoniously informs Sam that his backpack, which has the glasses in it, is in the kitchen. Okay, we good? Good. Let's start with the most egregious part of this scene, Optimus and the Autobots and their childish antics. I get that they are in a hurry and that the fate of the world is hanging in the balance, but if their plan is to not reveal themselves to humans at large, they have to stay hidden. They just have to. Optimus also seems to have a schizophrenic approach to things as he alternates between being short and pleading with Sam.
Just hurry. Please hurry.
Optimus is kind of an asshole in this scene. Seriously, dude. If speed is important, why does Prime keep distracting Sam from this important task? And then they decide to hide in vehicle mode in the backyard? How the hell did Optimus think that was a good idea? And then when Optimus finally decides to fall back, he blames the other Autobots for being loud when he's the main offender. Dick move, Prime. Dick move. So then, after Ratchet crashes into the power lines, I guess the Autobots decide that's the signal to go back to being nuisances, because Optimus has Ratchet point a light into Sam's room. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but Optimus really is an unreasonable bastard in this scene. How is this guy a military leader? No wonder the Decepticons always seem to be winning. Next point. When Sam's parents come to investigate, the Autobots all hide right here by the house, instead of trying to fall back. How did Jazz and Bumblebee even fit under the house here without wrecking everything? They're damn lucky Sam's parents are as unobservant as the Autobots are stupid, but we'll get to that detail a bit later. The point I'm making here is that the Autobots should have vacated the area completely. We also see that the Autobots are apparently familiar with the concept of parents.
Oh, parents.
Now, of course, this movie and the second one set up the idea of brothers, which, of course, is nothing new among Transformers fiction, but it still makes one wonder a little bit how that works. Now, I suppose it's also possible that the Autobots have had contact with other organic species that have family units similar to ours. It still stands out as a bit strange, though. However, this line stands out even more.
The parents, very irritating. Yeah. Can I take them out? Ironhide, you know we don't harm humans.
Really? When was this decided? They've only known humans have existed for 10 minutes. He didn't say we don't hurt organic species or species other than our own. He said humans. It's very specific. Oh, the writers are capitalizing on 20 years of Transformers lore and expecting the audience to just accept that. This is a problem with many modern writers. They will take all the hard work and development from something else and just transpose it onto their new property. But that's not how it works. If this is a new universe or new character, a previous universe's or other character's history does not translate onto said new thing. So we take all of these Transformers series where the Autobots protect humans, usually because they have taken a liking to them and have these principles of protecting life, perhaps also feeling guilt for accidentally bringing the war to Earth. But that has not been established in this film. Sure, they say about not wanting the human race to be destroyed, but not wanting a species to be wiped out is not the same as not hurting any member of said species. I don't want cows to go extinct, but you better believe that I'm going to eat that damn steak. Now, of course, this isn't to say that Prime should let Ironhide obliterate Sam's parents, but there are other ways to write it, such as saying that it would not endear Sam to them, or it would cause a commotion, or even more simply, it's murder. Which I think is the crux of this problem. It makes sense the Autobots wouldn't murder, but why did this get extrapolated out to not kill humans? If a human is a threat to the Autobots, surely they would kill him, right? Again, a simple tweak into the dialogue is all that's needed. And then Prime has the audacity to say this.
What is with you?
What is with you, Prime? Why are you acting like a moron? Let's pivot to Ron and Judy. What a couple of dense human beings. The Autobots are stomping around and making no real effort to stay quiet, and they don't hear or see anything. Optimus almost gets spotted, speaks, and Ron doesn't hear it. He looks outside and luckily doesn't spot Optimus or Jazz, who I think would be easy to see, especially with their color schemes. I know a lot of people are oblivious to many things, but this is a little too much. There are some funny moments between Sam and his parents in this scene, to be sure, but it also goes over the top, primarily with,
"Were you masturbating?"
So yeah, I bet you never thought that line would be in a piece of official Transformers media, but here we are. Now, let's talk about Sam briefly. The only thing to mention really is that he is looking for a backpack, not the glasses per se. Which means an item of that size could only be in so many places in his room. So at what point do you decide to look in another place? Perhaps a place that tends to act as a catch-all? Somewhere like the kitchen? One could say he was being distracted by Optimus, but even still, I think he would have realized at some point that his backpack isn't here, and he could leave Michaela to deal with the Autobots while he searches other parts of the house. I know Michaela kind of failed to keep the Autobots under control earlier, but Sam ain't doing much better. Here's a kind of egregious error. I guess the filmmakers wanted better lighting now, so the power suddenly comes back on from Prime slamming into the house. Question mark? I think that's what's supposed to happen. Anyways, I guess they caught that in the editing room because they tried to address it with this ADR line. But how could that possibly work? Ratchet ripped the wires out. That's not the kind of thing that slapping the house around will fix. The power company will need to come out and actually fix the damage done to the wires. But who am I kidding? Why should I expect competent writing at this stage? I have another issue too. Frenzy. He pops out a couple of times, presumably planning to take the glasses if he gets a chance, or at least report on their location, but seeing that he has learned Optimus and the others have arrived on Earth, shouldn't he contact Starscream regardless? If this many Autobots are so close to the glasses, wouldn't Starscream perhaps decide to launch an assault to stop them from getting the Allspark's location before them? Sure, it screws up his stealth plans, but at this point it's do or die. However, I don't think we can blame Screamer for this screw-up since I see no evidence Frenzy tried to get in contact with him. But, as we know, the Decepticons get the short end of the stick in this and future movies, so is anyone surprised at this point? Oh, and the biggest blunder of all in this scene. Where did this box come from? Sam suddenly has it between shots. What was it hiding? Gold? Silver? Busty beauties? Perhaps the plot? We'll never know, for it, like many other things in this film series, is never brought up again. So overall, this scene is really just padding. It doesn't add to the characters in any meaningful way and only makes them look worse. You can't even say it's that funny, except for a few moments. More so, I think it paints the Autobots as a bunch of incompetents who wouldn't be able to find their own feet, much less win a war. Did I say this movie was decent? I'm having trouble remembering why. Well, don't worry. Sam has the glasses, and he's going to have Michaela distract his parents while he slips out to give them to the Autobots. I'm sure all that screwing around won't have cost them... Oh shit, the cops are here.